Welcome to the Utah Street Banter Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Utah Street Banter. I'm your host, Cody, and along with me is Elijah. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm going good.
Good. Doing awesome, man. That's great. Well, good news is football's over, and
Thank God.
It's baseball season, right?
Yeah.
So did the Super Bowl go the way you wanted it to go?
No. If it went the way that it wanted us to go, the Cowboys would have been winning last night.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't go the way I wanted to go with those two teams anyway. So
now, were you pulling for the Niners? So here,
yeah, I was pulling for a 0-0 tie.
Me too, right?
Yeah.
I said that's what I said.
Like, give the trophy like Post Malone or something.
Yeah, man, that was. Yeah, it's funny because you would hear some people talk about how slow Major League Baseball game is, right? And that the Super Bowl was like almost a little over, like I was started at 6:30 and ended at 11:15.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, whoo.
No.
So can't talk about can't talk about a Major League Baseball game being slow after that game, but it was still. I mean, it was close. At least it wasn't a blowout or anything.
It was
I guess
much better than the first half, though. The first half was terrible.
Yeah, the first half was rough. They just needed Usher to come out there and yeah. That was good. That was yeah. But anyway, so one thing that that's been on a lot of our TV stations today is everybody's talking about if the Chiefs are a dynasty. I mean, they win back-to-back years, and I mean they've been relevant for a while now.
Yeah.
So getting to a baseball podcast, because we're gonna kick the football out of our conversation. Do you think the Major League Baseball has a dynasty right now?
I don't think there's a dynasty at the moment. I think in 2 to 3 years there could be a dynasty, because the problem is I think if the Astros even just lost the World Series last year but made it, I think I would have still considered them a dynasty. I don't think they are anymore, because to be a dynasty, I mean, you got to be like Tom Brady or like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years?
Yeah.
The most recent thing of baseball in that, I guess you could say the Astros, or I go back to the 2010 Giants.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that Giants team was pretty awesome. I don't know. I'm going to be devil's advocate, and I will say I think the Astros are still there, but could definitely be on the way out, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, they're just still always, there. And then, but I agree. I see some teams that you could also argue for. One team that for me, I can definitely see coming is because their pockets are, super deep, is the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Because it just looks like, they lose one person, they gain two. So they're definitely going to stay relevant, whether you hate them or not. I mean, they're definitely going to be relevant for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But who's the other person? Who do you think?
Who do I think's another dynasty? I mean, I don't want to bias by the name of the podcast and what we're supposed to be here talking about, but I definitely could see the Orioles being a dynasty.
Yeah,
I agree. We have to win the playoffs, but
no, I agree. And remember, a dynasty is, for me at least, is a 3 to 5 year dominant run, right? So we have, we have a half of one from last year. Yeah, half. It's because, in my opinion, you still got to be good in the playoffs.
No,
right?
I think this is the start here. Year.
So I mean, but you look at it and you say we have a great year again this year, and you just see how we're going to be able to hold this roster together for a while, it looks like. So definitely could happen. If you're just predicting, though, right? I mean, that's all we're doing. We're not saying the Orioles are a dynasty currently. We're just predicting that if, it goes the way we wish it would, that happens. And I think that's reasonable. I think no matter who you are, unless you're an Orioles hater, then you would probably argue with that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I've talked to a few, Yankee fans and Red Sox and just different fans around the league, and everybody thinks that the Orioles are definitely relevant and definitely a team to be reckoned with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially how scary it is where the Orioles have, a lot. Michael Elias has just really showed off that he can pull huge names over to Camden Yards without giving up a ton.
Yeah.
Because we have that much talent in the farm system. So.
Yeah, and I think if you wanted to throw another name out there, you could definitely say the Braves too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I would agree with that.
I mean, they did what the Orioles should have done and signed everybody you could, and they probably drugged them or something to sign these contracts, because you have people that are Cy Young MVP candidates that are getting paid less than Corbin Burns is right now in arbitration.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They signed Acuna, I remember, really early in his career. And then another guy. I mean, you talk about keeping players. I mean, pretty impressive. People can hate Altuve, but he's one of the best second basemen in the league. In the past decade. But he just signed a major team-friendly contract with them just to try to keep a good product on the field around him. Yeah. And that's what you're going to have to do. You know what I mean? If, as a, he's made his money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is his second big contract, I believe. So he took less than he probably had to, but yeah, so that's why I was just wondering. I was like, man, everybody, the only reason I didn't want the Chiefs to win was because, they've just been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it didn't help when you saw Kelsey almost push his coach over, which his coach is the most beloved head coach in football.
Yeah.
Because I dislike the Chiefs, but I love Andy Reid. You know what I mean?
He is a great coach.
Yeah. But yeah, so I hope the Orioles are the next one. And and it's one of those things where maybe people will not want us to win the World Series one year because we've been there so much. That would be amazing.
Yeah, to be hated is the goal.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we got some fun things to talk about today. We're going to talk about the spring training. Spring training begins this week. I believe it's on Valentine's Day, right?
Yep, that's when pitchers and catchers report.
Pitchers and catchers report. Yeah. So some people are there now. You've probably seen some videos of people doing different things. It's pretty cool. And it's, we're all bundled up here, and you see them in t-shirt and shorts, living the life. So, but yeah, so that sounds awesome. We had some news this week on the Orioles front. Nothing major though. Which that's okay, because a couple weeks ago, they did their thing,
Yeah.
The big news this week, of course, was a few things that came down from the sale of the Orioles, and that was the name change for Camden Yards. So that really, I think, put a scare in a lot of people, and that's I don't know why it's such a big deal for me. I think for me, it's just it's Oriole Park. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it shouldn't matter as much as it does.
Oh, it matters.
But I know. But that's when you just go, boy, I am so glad the Orioles got sold.
Yeah.
Just for things like this. It was getting ready to be what? T. Rowe Price Park.
Yeah. Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah, T. Rowe Price Park at Camden Yards. Luckily, well, I don't know if it's not done yet. That's the only thing that worries me is it sounds like all the numbers, everything was crunched, everything was agreed upon. So I would not be shocked if before the season opens that the stadium is changed, the name is changed. All right, so let me get your thoughts on that. And then I'll jump in and see what we got to say.
I don't know. I think it's pretty stupid. I get it's extra cash, but I don't know if it's just the nostalgia and everything of it, because that's the one few thing that we both can relate to of our whole lives is Camden Yards, because as old as you are, it's been there the whole time too.
Yeah.
But and I don't know. It's just like you said, there definitely is a possibility that the deal still goes through, but I kind of doubt it, because T. Rowe Price said that they didn't know that the team was getting sold. just kind of like everybody else didn't know. So it kind of seems like Angelos was keeping everything in the dark. So who knows what really is going on?
Yeah, but I was listening to the news talk about the sale and everything. I mean, even his like government friends that like helped him with the sale, he even lied to them, and they were supposed to be like his close colleagues or whatever. But that's pretty nuts. But anyway, it seems like he lied to a lot of people. It didn't really matter who you were.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the one thing I got to say about the stadium change, okay, the name change, and I don't want it to change if I could choose, right? But just to kind of stop everybody from freaking out, there's barely any stadiums out there except for Yankee Stadium, right? Fenway Park. There's a lot of them that have that historic name that's kept it. Now, the problem I have is Oriole Park isn't that old. It's only old for us because, well, since you've been alive, that's what you've known. Before that, it was, of course, Memorial Stadium. But so if I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because I'm trying to say that if they use the money correctly, then we wouldn't mind it, right?
Yeah.
But if nothing changes, that's when you would be like, come on, man. You know what I mean? And also, I think after 5 years, we'd all let it go, maybe.
Yeah.
But, one of the big ones I remember was a few years ago. I don't want people on this podcast to hate us. So one of our favorite football teams, they changed their name, their stadium, from Cowboys Stadium. That's what it always was. And then it changed to AT&T. And, I guess, and that, that wasn't that big of a deal. And this is probably only a big deal to Orioles fans. Nobody else because other people care. But we just wanted to touch base on that. It's still on hold. I guess they're probably waiting for things to get approved in owners' meetings and for the power to switch hands. Now, another thing that's changed, this is my favorite thing this week that has changed, big deal, is we finally got Pepsi out of Camden Yards. We have Coke coming in. I'm a huge fan of this. This is just personal reasons because I'm not a big Pepsi fan. So Coke's coming in, and I'm gonna, that's gonna be your beverage of choice.
Get Starry out of there. And actually have Sprite.
Yeah, I don't know many people that say, we want a nice can of Starry. Okay, let's do some fun stuff now. We're going to talk about the 2024 spring training non-roster invites. This can be meaningless, or it can be some interesting things to watch. For a lot of times with this, you'll see some guys that are a few years away and that Brendan Hyde and the general management just want to see, right? So a couple of big names on here for me is... of course, the catcher we've been talking about the past few weeks is Samuel Basello. And then the infielders, we got Jackson Holliday, Kobe Mayo, and Connor Norby, all pretty big three prospects there. Pretty excited about that. So any exciting guys that you want to see on spring training?
I mean, I'm excited to see a lot of these, but beside from some of the more obvious ones, I'm really excited to see Silas Ardoin, the catcher, because I know him and there's some of the other guys and a couple people that didn't get invited to spring training, specifically Creed Willems. Yeah, they're really good catching prospects that have been like rising through the minors pretty quickly, but are kind of overshadowed by Samuel Basallo because the problem is we already have arguably the best catcher in baseball on the major league team, and then you have the second best catching prospect in the minor league. The rest of your catchers are kind of getting overshadowed there, but it's always important to have not just depth, but these are also really important trade pieces, I think. And I would say, well, I don't think we're actually going to trade anybody, but after the Burns trade, maybe we will get rid of some people. Yeah. And then I'm also interested to see Justin Armbruster and Wanderson Charles. They're both, Armbruster's a starter and Wanderson Charles is a reliever. I don't know too much about Armbruster, but I'm really excited to see him because he's done really good in the minors this past year. And then Wanderson Charles is who I am really excited to see. I mean, he is the type of guy that struggled to get past AA. He's done amazing in the minors up until AA, but AAA really has hurt him. And I know last year in the minors, he had a 2.35 ERA in AA, but a 6 ERA in AAA.
Right.
So that's obviously not great, but he's done good everywhere else he's been other than AAA, basically, because he's pitched in Dominican Winter Leagues before. Like this year, he's been in Dominican Winter League and had a 4.2 ERA. That's not great, but I think he has really good potential, and we could definitely see him tapped into and even come up on the major league team if something really happens this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you're really attacking the pitchers there. Definitely exciting to see. I'm excited to see. Some hopefuls come up and help our pitching staff out, right? I think my guy right there, and I just keep getting stuck on lefty pitchers, is Cade Povich. Really hoping that he comes out and does what we hope he does. He was in AAA last year. He's still young. I mean, he's still 23, but really excited for him, and hopefully he can help out. I'm a little nervous that he's going to be like a Zimmerman type of pitcher, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's better than that. I hope maybe he can, jump some projections there. He's currently, if people want to know, he's currently our number 10th prospect. So now, is there anybody on there that I didn't ask you this ahead of time, so I might catch you off guard? Is there anybody on that wasn't on there that you expected to be? My guy is I thought Enrique Bradfield Jr. was going to be there. Yeah, I really, he was our first round draft pick last year, and he's coming out of college, right? Yeah, and he came out of college. He's 22, so he's not very young. You know what I mean? And I just thought he did so good. I just thought he did so good in the minors last year that he deserved an invite. We only have one other outfielder that even got invited for a non-roster invite, and that's Daniel Johnson. Yeah.
I think that's mainly because of those invited, we have like 10 outfielders.
Oh, true.
But I definitely think Bradfield, because his skill set doesn't need time to grow that much. He's a speed and defense first guy, and that speed and defense translates immediately from college to the majors. Right. It's just his bat needs to catch up a little bit, but I am surprised that he's not on there.
Yeah, just kind of give everybody a rundown if you're just listening, and you're not looking at the list. Some fun people that got invited. We got our number 1 prospect, Jackson Holliday's invited. Number 2 prospect in the Orioles system, Sammy Basello. We talked about him. He's invited. Our number 3, Kobe Mayo. Okay, he is a third baseman. He was invited. And then we got Connor Norby. He is our number 6. He also got invited. And pretty, just like I said, some fun guys to watch. I'm excited to watch a few games. I haven't had time to look up the Masson broadcast schedule yet. Line, if it's anything like last year, I think it was like 3 games. You're better luck trying to jump on somebody else's broadcast to watch them. But definitely some fun guys to watch out for, and just to keep looking at the stats there, and seeing. So any question for you, Elijah? You got anybody on there that you think makes the team?
I mean, I definitely would say probably the best chance would be Jackson Holliday.
Yeah, I agree.
Other than him, I mean, if a Povich or maybe a McDermott comes out and has an amazing spring, right, he could crack it somehow. Or Tucker Davidson would probably be the most likely reliever too. But Jackson Holliday's definitely the most likely.
He has to be, right? If I would be so shocked if he breaks camp with them. I would be so shocked.
I know every MLB projection I look like has him making it, but I really don't see it.
They don't know the Orioles, but because they can still really get you on on just trying to keep you down in the minors for a few more weeks to get a little bit more control out of your contract. Okay, moving on here. We got a fun question I thought I'd ask you. So do not, if you're listening, do not take this as a projection. This is more, just for fun. But my question was, Elijah, give me one realistic player that you wish the Orioles would add at some point this year, anytime this year. Okay. So you can give me a realistic one and then give me one that's just for fun, like would fit, but you don't think there's any way.
Yeah. So I'll give you the realistic one I have. And this one actually, I'm almost going to expect at this point Aroldis Chapman, because he's someone we shouldn't trade for, but we will.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that going.
And I mean, he'd be okay if you use him in the right way. And then I'm going to have my not realistic one as Pete Alonso. Because they've been, the Mets just paid him a crazy amount of money for arbitration. This is his last year. And it doesn't seem like they're going to re-sign him because he's going to want a lot of money. So if they decide to shop him at the deadline, I think he'd be a great guy to go pick up. I mean, nothing against Ryan Mountcastle or Ryan O'Hearn, but he is slightly better than them and would be great to put in the middle of our lineup.
Yeah, so I am a huge fan of that, the Pete Alonso. And like I said, please don't think that we think that Pete Alonso is going to the Orioles. This is just a wishful thinking type of thing. But yeah, it's wishful thinking, but it's a little realistic. We're not just saying Mike Trout. You know what I mean? So anyway, the reason why, Elijah, I believe you're saying this is because he's on his last year of contract. We don't expect the Mets to be that great this year. So it's definitely a possibility. Yeah. So it's a possibility of him getting traded somewhere, right? And the Orioles would just be a cool place to be. So I love the Pete Alonso because I keep thinking, other than pitching, I would love to see the Orioles get a big bat, like a power hitter. I think we have a lot of guys that are athletic and that are doubles guys. And I would love that, we can afford that one guy. You know what I mean? Whereas your 2014 to 2018, or I guess 2012 to 2018 Orioles, I mean, we had 8 of those guys. So it's hard to live like that. But it's definitely healthy, I think. And it'd be great to have one guy like that. Now, my possible guy for me is Emmanuel Clase. He is a closer for the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah. There's been some talk about him getting moved. I would love to see him come over. I just don't trust my bullpen. I know everybody else does. I just don't. It terrifies me that we don't have Bautista on the back end. And I just think last year some guys just overperformed, and I hope I'm wrong. You know what I mean? My not likely stuff, that my wishful thinking pickups. The first one is a guy that I feel like got screwed out of a coaching position this year, and that's David Ross. He was the head coach for the Chicago Cubs. I would love to see at some point in the next few years him come over and be some type of role. He doesn't need to be our head coach because I do like Brandon Hyde. But what's cool is Brandon Hyde was his coach when they won the World Series. He's a bench coach. So they have a great relationship, but David Ross is a head coach, so I'm sure there's slim to no chance that he would take a bench coach or some type of job. I just love his attitude. I think it fits perfectly with the clubhouse. I think he's a team builder. But anyway, that's my wishful thinking. I also have 2 other guys I'll say real quick. Both are from the White Sox, which apparently I think our general manager and their general manager want to have a boxing match. But and that's Luis Robert. He's getting ready to hit a big contract day. I mean, he's coming to the end of his rookie contract. There's probably no chance in that. They're probably going to want so much. But the guy I do think there might be a chance for is Oli Jimenez. He is a big power hitter over there. He's pretty much their DH now because he keeps getting hurt when he goes in the field. He is coming to the end of his contract also. And I think he has his free agent year is 2026. So we would get this year and next. And he's sort of like Pete Alonso to a way where he's just a big power hitter. Not Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso still is better than he is. But I think also Oli Jimenez is one of those players that is better than what he's been. It seems like if you get White Sox players to get away from the White Sox, then they do better. So,
and then I think for years, I would love to see those guys come over, but like you said, that is very rare. And Emmanuel Clase, I actually think if he's to be traded, I think you'd have a better chance trying to package him with Shane Bieber than by himself. Because I think the Guardians are going to want too much just for him, that if you're going to give up a lot of prospects, you need more than just him.
Maybe.
But and just to throw some other names, put them into existence, maybe something will happen. It's getting Daniel Bard from the Rockies would be great.
Yeah, I like that.
And then also, I have these two names here, and this is like dream scenario and only happens like if so much goes right, is Alex Vesia and Ryan Brazier. So those are two relievers on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have a really good bullpen, but they lack middle infielders.
Yeah.
As of right now, Gavin Lux is starting at shortstop and Mookie Betts is their starting second baseman. All it takes is for one person to get hurt or their defense or someone to fall through. They're going to need a middle infielder. What do the Orioles have?
Middle infielders?
Middle infielders. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but all I'm saying is Jordan Westburg could, if Jordan Westburg got traded to the Dodgers in the middle of the season, you heard it here first.
I hear it.
And we would love the bullpen help. I'm not saying at just those two is what we need. I think if you were to, like, obviously they would just be part of the package. I doubt Evan Phillips or Brusdar Graterol would be moved because they're really good. But if we could bring Evan Phillips back, for those of you who don't know, we had him and gave him up through the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But so he's really good now, of course, like everyone is once they leave us. But even get Blake Trinan or Joe Kelly maybe. Like there's so many names in their bullpen that would be really good.
Yeah, because they pretty much do the 5-inning rule. You know what I mean? They need their starter to get through 5, and then they have studs coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
All right, another fun question for you as we're, starting getting into our spring training. I saw on the Orioles website that today, actually, they are having a job fair. Okay, so I'm sure you might be listening to this to us pretty early in the morning, or maybe you're not. If it's at night, then you missed it. Okay, but there's an Orioles job fair today, so get over there, right, and then apply for any awesome job you want, and then you'll be at every Orioles home game, getting paid. So we decided to do something fun. If you got a job at the Orioles, right, for the job fair, what would yours be?
So I think it's obvious for those of you who know me, and those that don't, I just so happen to be a sports media major at Susquehanna University, and that my dream's kind of always been to be a broadcaster. So I actually have written down here word for word steal Kevin Brown's job. But I love Kevin Brown, so really I just want to be partners with him. Just stick me in there with Ben McDonald and Kevin Brown, and I'd have a blast.
Right. Yeah. Well, as somebody that went to a job fair in the Orioles organization, I can tell you, Elijah, that that's not one of the jobs available. Right? If it was, right? Because mine would be a more realistic job that they probably are offering, and that's to be the bat boy, or the guy that sits on the sidelines when the ball goes foul, right?
Yeah.
And throws it back in. That would probably be the two. I was the bat boy for a few years for the Orioles minor league team, the Delmarva Shorebirds, and that was one of the most fun jobs I have ever had. Got to meet a lot of awesome guys there. That was back when Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope, and everybody was there, and kind of see how it, how that all went.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that would be neat. It was still Kevin Brown's job, or work with him. That would be pretty much a dream.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
I did it once. I'll do it again.
That is true. For people that don't know, Elijah actually won. What was it?
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, so I'm a bit of a big deal, guys. So basically, back in 2015, they started with the kids opening day thing. And for that, they had a competition or whatever that you send in videos, and someone would get to announce the starting lineup, and my talent just shined through everybody else's. They saw my raw natural talent. They picked me.
That was fun. Because
it was really fun.
I got to go there with you that time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, and you got to announce the starting lineup and everything.
Yeah,
and there was a couple. How old were you then? Do you know how old you were?
2015. So I was like 10.
10.
9-10.
Yeah. So there was some difficult names there, right?
Yeah. Alejandro De Aza.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I think they were pretty impressed. And then you also did the iconic. Yep.
Jay Hardy.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was fun. Yeah, so good times. I definitely am looking forward to this week and to just seeing some Orioles players throw the ball around, some at bats.
I'm happy for baseball to be back.
Oh man, and me and you both. Just give everybody a heads up. Opening day for spring training looks like it is February 24th against the Boston Red Sox, and that's home, and at Smith Stadium. So pretty excited about that. There in Sarasota, it's probably going to be beautiful weather. We're going to be able to see Jackson Holliday with an O's jersey on. Pretty excited there too, and hopefully see some new pitchers that are going to grace the mound at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, right? So, all right, until then, we're super thankful that you joined us on this podcast, on this show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time on the Utah Street Banter. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.